Thanks, Rhea. I'm Stephen Heumann, and for the finale of our 10th season today, I wanted to go somewhere extreme. And so right now I'm standing on the top of Pikes Peak in Colorado, and I'm about to welcome racers from the world's highest competition.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain. This is the view that sparked the inspiration and lyrics to America the Beautiful. Catherine Lee Bates, an English professor, visited the top of Pikes Peak and was inspired to write the poem America, which was later transformed into the song that echoes across the country every 4th of July. Pikes Peak itself towers over the Rocky Mountains at over 14,100 feet, one of the highest in the West. From this height, getting down can be a pretty fast trip. But today, that is actually rivaled by those going up. Pikes Peak International Raceway is taking riders up the average grade of 7%, around 156 sharp hairpin curves, and a road that literally touches the stratosphere.
The difficult thing with Pikes Peak is you lose a lot of the horsepower by the time you get to the finish line, so the top's not always as fast as you think it's going to be compared to the bottom.
Spencer Penrose decided that Colorado Springs needed a big tourist attraction, and you don't get much bigger than Pikes Peak. So in 1916, he widened the narrow carriage trail that wound up the side of the mountain into the road that it is today. The reason he did it was simple: get people to race to the top. The Pikes Peak International Hill Climb was born and started the tradition that continues today. In fact, not a lot has changed in the race to the clouds since the first flag dropped, except, of course, for the cars.
Well, of course, 1972 was my first year, and of course it was all dirt back then. So I'll be one of the very few ones to say they raced it all dirt, and now this year will be the first year on all asphalt. So that's the biggest change. The road itself hasn't, they've never really made it that much wider. They haven't changed any curves in it. It's basically the same road that I raced on in 72, and I'm sure you can go way back farther than that.
Different race classes allow drivers of varying skill to compete, with the open wheel division running every year since 1916, having been won by such drivers as Al Unser and Mario Andretti. But for some drivers, it's the bragging rights of making it up the mountain in one piece that is more satisfying than actually winning the race.
Basically just getting up the hill, not worrying too much about winning this time. I mean, obviously I would like to win, but I just want to keep it in one piece, get up the mountain, and have a good race.
Racing in general has a reputation of being a very solitary sport, but in the case of Pikes Hill Climb, the family has actually become an important component, even offering friendly competition between husband and wife in some cases.
Pikes Peak, Indy 500, they've always seemed to draw on the family atmosphere with the Unsers and the Dullenbachs and the Andrettis. And Pikes Peak has such a rich history in racing, and a lot of racing families get drawn to Pikes Peak because it's something that they want to check off their list.
There definitely is a friendly competition. I mean, at the end of the day, we both just want to see each other on the summit on Sunday. But the hill climb's what brought us together, and Pikes Peak's just a huge part of our lives, and we're just both happy to be back here this year.
My fondest memory is 1993 when I broke the overall record. It was a surprise to everybody. We weren't the favorite, and we went up there and we broke the record. I was the last American to hold the record. But that day, I remember vividly of how happy I was and how happy the crew was, and it was very gratifying.
Colorado Springs lies in the shadow of Pikes Peak, and the area as a whole offers a wide range of outdoor activities for visitors looking not only to race, but to take in the natural sights as well. ATVing is an extremely popular diversion on the trails of the Pike National Forest, with paths snaking up the heights and down dark timberland that closes in around you. While forest fires earlier this summer wreaked havoc in the area, trails are still open for riding, and most of the mountain was spared in the blaze. 14,000 feet is a daunting elevation when you consider that the peak only offers 60% of the oxygen at sea level. But that height doesn't have to stop you, and whether on an ATV in the forest, or a motorcycle or race car hitting top speed in a corner, Pikes Peak is one mountain worth climbing.
It's open and it's big and it's fast and it's a lot of fun.
Well, after 90 years, the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb is still one of the greatest and most challenging races the nation has to offer. And the whole thing kind of gives America the Beautiful a whole new meaning. Well, for At Your Leisure, I'm Stephen Heumann. Now back to Chad and Rhea at the Miller Motorsports Park.